everyone, Joshua Hanlon here at Steam in Swindon in the UK, and behind me we're going to be taking a look at the GBC layout here at Steam. So we'll have each builder talk about their modules. We'll start with Duncan here, if you want to introduce yourself briefly and then take us through what you've brought.
Hi, my name's Duncan. I've been doing GBC for about 4 years, but this is the first time of displaying. And my first model is the rotator, which is just rotates the ball up, and they come into a bit of a makeshift device that we hastily put together this morning because something went wrong. But we're going to fix that tomorrow with some towers, but it took too long to set up, so we went with that. Next we have a track conveyor, which goes into the xylophone, which is by PBS, and that then goes into the banana drop.
We'll listen to the xylophone here real quick. No, that you can actually hear that. That's really impressive.
And then after that, it goes in. After the banana drop, it goes into the cup to cup, which is an idea I've copied from Facebook from the worldwide group. But I just copied the gears and then made it my own contraption. So it's got a different design going into it than anybody else's. The next we have another banana drop type device, which is made out of the banana gears, which I borrowed the idea from Hugh, who's also displaying here today. And then that goes into my sweeper. And we've got a bit of Duplo there, which was on a earlier module, but we took that out because that had a problem as well. So, but the sweeper then goes into the shovel, which is I believe an Akioki model that I've made. And from there it goes into a module that I borrowed the idea from the Australians and loved it so much I recreated it, and I call it the slicer dicer. So it works pretty well, except when there's loads of balls, but it's been going pretty well much all day today. The next device is my own creation, which is the Jurassic Park. And the balls go through there really fast, which the kids seem to have been enjoying really well today. And that then goes into my bucket pinball machine. And basically that's another idea borrowed off Hugh, but I've made it bigger than Hugh's. And that goes in, the balls go through the pinball and then collect in the buckets at the end. And once the buckets are heavy enough, then it goes on to the next module.
We should come back real quick to your Jurassic Park because this is such a nicely decorated module. So maybe take us through a few of the details you were able to include here.
So the spider on the top is not actually from Jurassic. That's a Harry Potter spider. But we've got, I bought a few dinosaurs from Bricklink. Obviously you've got the little dinosaur there eating a chicken. And you've got quite a few of his babies around. It's got a spider web, and you've got the hat stall from one of the sets that I've borrowed, and we've got a helicopter hidden in there which is got a blade missing, and it's never going to take off because the blades are in the wrong place. And you've got the doors to the actual entrance to the Jurassic Park with one of the birds from Jurassic Park on there, and I've made the fence with a bit of fence detail. In fact, I got some of the ideas from one of your YouTubes, seeing some of the guys elsewhere in the world done it. So, yeah.
Awesome stuff. We can keep moving.
We've also got one last module, which is an Akioki pinball, which was one of the very first modules that I made. So, then I hand you over to Jonathan. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Great work. So if you want to introduce yourself and then show us what you have.
Okay, my name's Jonathan Hurwitz. A year ago, I didn't know what a GBC was. And then I assisted on this display last year and got hooked. And since then, I've been building furiously. It helps that I'm retired. I've got the time to do this.
It has a way of pulling you in like that, doesn't it?
Oh, yeah. My wife absolutely hates it. But if she doesn't hate it, I must be doing something wrong. But anyway, to start with, if we had a few balls coming through, first module is based on Mako Arts Stepper, His was 2. This has got somewhat stretched to 6. Hugh did it first, and I copied the idea. We then move into Great Ball Pits, Solaire, and then his whirligig. After that, most of these aren't my designs, unfortunately, but I'm good at building. Into the what was that one? Oh, a Brick World small conveyor, the Donahue conveyor belt. After that, we're into sort of pretty much Rick Field section with his industrial stepper, industrial bucket with an extra bucket on the end. Then a very small module, sweeper module, design I found somewhere fairly recently. You can't really build a much smaller module than that. Then into another of Rick Field's industrial buckets. The first one wasn't supposed to be there, but I had to have a quick replacement when something else failed. After that, we've got, again, Rick Field's tumble dryer, and then his newer dual bucket. I must say, his modules just work. They're really great.
The black and yellow coordination with the colors also looks really nice.
Yeah, I should probably swap the red and yellow ones around and have a black and yellow run. I've got enough to do almost a complete black and yellow. After that, we go into high conveyor belt and then into a long zigzag just to make everybody's eyes go funny. Moving on from that, we go into the banana gig variant of the whirligig, followed by Minestalk's cradle tipper, which is another good one that just sits there and works.
Which is really all you want from a GBC.
Absolutely, yes. After that, it's another Mako Arts design, which is allowing for my poor Dutch, band op de kant, or belt on the side. That needed a bit of tweaking. It's one that's original design was just to use one set. I didn't have that limitation, so I've been able to tweak it to make it a little more robust. And finally, into the ultimate stretch of the stepper module we started with, which is 12 steps. Can't meaningfully go bigger than that because the internal lift beams are now 15 studs, and you don't want to start joining them because it'll just make everything too heavy. Then it goes down the little snake into Hugh's section.
Okay, thank you.
Pleasure.
Come on over to Hugh here. So what do you have for us?
Hello, yes, I'm Hugh. You might know me from brickset.com, and I've been building GBCs for a couple of years now.
When you aren't busy running, one of the world's most popular Lego blogs, you like to dabble with a little GBC here.
Yes, in my spare time, yes, indeed. So my modules start here with this nice green and red one, which is a scissor lift. Runs nice and slowly, so often people think it's stopped, but then all of a sudden it pops up and dispenses the balls to the next section, which is a module based on one designed by a French designer, actually, and normally people have the module with just one arm on it. I put 2 arms there to make it a bit more interesting, and it's a very reliable unit, in fact, so that's been running well all weekend. Next, I've got one of Mako Arts' little things there just to fill a little gap, and following on from that, I've got a nice bridge, which is based on something designed by somebody in Australia that was shown at Brickvention this year, and it might have been your video that I saw it on, actually. But that's a interesting little thing, and the original had a skull, and somebody on Facebook said you need to build it with the skull. So I didn't have a skull, I put a skeleton there instead.
It's a nice little decoration to the build. Kind of the black and white colors work well.
Yes, that's right, yes. And now then we move on to my ball accelerator, which is very popular with the public. They can see exactly how it works, and they love it when the balls get pushed up the ramp.
I like it when it shoots them a little too hard and they start bouncing all over, then it's fun to watch.
That happens, yes. It hasn't been too bad this weekend. Following on from that, then I have my rainbow side-to-side stepper, which is perhaps my favourite module. It's, as you can see, very colourful and very original. It's a design that I came up with myself, quite difficult to come up with original designs because there's been so many other things built by many different people. But that one, yes, it's been running well over the weekend, and yeah, people like to watch it. It makes a lovely swooshing sound as well.
Talk a little bit more about that kind of design process, because that is something I know that Tom Atkinson and various GBC builders have struggled with, is getting people to kind of go into new territory and start designing their own modules. So as you started to tackle that, what was that process like for you?
I think everyone needs to start building simple modules to see how the thing works, and in fact the red one next to it was the first module I built, which is another Mako Art stepper. And once I'd seen how it all sort of could work and what have you, I started coming up with my own ideas and thinking how I could translate that into brick. It's not a simple process by any means, and that particular device, I suspect I worked on it for 2 or 3 weeks before it was working properly. And even now I tweak it from time to time based upon how it's been performing at the event.
Yeah.
So the next module then is something that was inspired while I was watching a television program we have in the UK called Tipping Point, which is a bit like one of these penny arcade games. You hopefully have them in the US. You put pennies in the top and then they get pushed out.
Exactly, yeah.
So that's what that was based upon, and it's quite mesmerising watching the balls go back and forth. There's a slight tilt on it so they don't just all roll off, and it can take 2 or 3 minutes for the ball to actually get through, depending on obviously the rate that they come in on the input.
Now you've got to take it to the next level where you actually design it like the arcade machine. The public can drop the ball in and then you can push the balls off.
Good idea, yes. Yeah. A nice little rainbow stepper that was based on the Mako Arts mechanism but extended somewhat, and then as you've seen John there on the other section has built several machines just like it. Now my corner unit here uses the old racers track from the 2000s. A lot of people have used it for this purpose, but I always think their mechanisms have been over-designed, so I've stripped it right back, a very simple structure there, tilted it slightly, which means I don't need any ramps or anything like that to do any changes in elevation, and that works very well.
It's also just fun to watch with the angle it's at and then the arms sweeping around, so it's a cool one to look at.
Yes. Right. This one then is a pusher-upper ramper.
As you affectionately call it.
It's quite handy to have there because the balls come flying off the ramp at quite a speed and that catches them. And will push up quite a few balls actually. It's a very reliable unit, that one. Again, people have built similar machines, but that one's my own particular take on it. The next module is one that I'm quite happy with, has just been featured on Planet's GBC, which and the instructions are there as well for it. So if anyone wants to have a go at building that, they can now do so. That's a nice little reliable unit. Again, similar to the coin pusher type one that we have seen over there. That was the first one I built. After that, my daughter said, why don't you put it horizontal and have the balls like coins, and the other one was born.
There you go.
Yeah.
Sometimes you've got to get somebody, outside the Lego community given that perspective on it.
Yes. Now we come to my bridge, which is much like any bridge, just takes it across the gap in the in the tables. But what's particularly interesting about this one is that I have a BBC microbit microprocessor on there and a switch around the side, which is popping every time a ball passes and counts the balls as they pass. So we can see here now on the display that 9,442 balls have passed today, and it's currently running at 24 beats per minute. And since we started it just before 10 o'clock, it's been running for 7 hours 38.
Wow, there you go. It's the whole rundown.
Yes, people have built Boost and Mindstorms solutions for counting balls, even mechanical ones, of course, but I thought I'd go high-tech and come up with something else with a £10 computer rather than an expensive Lego kit.
Use the technology you've got there, Hugh.
Yes, indeed. Right, so the balls fall down, make a nice noise as they do so, and then we lead into Jamie's section.
Great. Thank you so much. Great work.
Thank you.
So if you want to introduce yourself, what do we have here?
Yeah, we've only got a few modules here. I do have more, but I've got a load of other displays, so I couldn't really spend too much time here. So I basically bought my more reliable, simpler modules, of which there's 5 here. There was 6, but one of them broke as soon as we turned it on, so that had to be taken out. But they're just very simple modules that are very reliable generally. So although there's one at the end that did break a bit earlier. But yeah, there's not really too much to say. We've got
like this colorful one down here.
Yeah, that's actually an Akiyuki design that I changed the colours of just to make it a bit different. It was one of the first modules I did. That broke a couple of times today, but I think I've fixed it now, so it's fine. But the others are my design. The first one is a simple, nice and simple stepper. The second and third ones are powered by the same motor. Second one's just a nice little sweeper there, and the third one used as axles to chuck them over the top. The fourth one's fully Technic. Oh, here come some balls. Yeah, it chucks them through pretty quick. The fourth one's actually built to so that it can connect others of the same design. I just never built any more. And then they go into the Akiyuki one, which is the last one before they go into John Gale's.
There you go. Thank you. And I think to end the GBC, we'll have a brief look at this massive module. Now, I'll mention real quick, we did a much more in-depth video with John on this module, but we can have you give a brief overview of this real quick to finish out the GBC for us.
Grand, thanks Josh. Really brief view then, and yeah, go and check out that other video. This is a roughly 8.5 foot, so 2.5 metre tall GBC tower built of approximately 35 to 40,000 pieces. There's over 20,000 transparent clear pieces alone, 8 extra large motors driving it, 192 bits of train track. It takes around about 10 minutes for the balls to make it round, 12 minutes when it's running a bit slow on batteries dying, which it's doing right now. It's behaved fairly well all day, and until the last few minutes when little bits keep falling off and getting stuck in the works.
I'm noticing a few on the ground.
There's a few dropping. There's a few bits that have kind of forced themselves out as the days progressed. Little bits have bounced and hit other bits, and the more they do, the more bits fall off, and then the more bits fall out, and then the more bits fall off. So, but yeah, for the good video, watch the longer video, and you'll see it in a bit more depth.
There we go, yeah, but this is just maybe the most insane GBC module I've ever seen. It's so incredible. I'm glad you could bring it out here, and it's a great way to finish out the whole GBC display. So thank you so much to you and everyone else who took us around the whole display here. It's a really fantastic layout, and I know the public was enjoying looking at it as well, so thank you very much.